This is our meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the years of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. It's a regular session. We're also sitting as all taxing districts, and we're gonna start the meeting by having a pledge of allegiance. Will everybody please stand up? Supervisor McLeod, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Sure. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just to make sure that, I see we have quite a large crowd, just to make sure we all, and most of you have been here before, I recognize a few familiar faces, that, the next item is call to the public. The call to the public is held for the public's benefit to allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified in the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona revised statutes, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticisms, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and a decision at a future date. If the item that you're here to talk about is in the agenda, then would you please just, we're gonna wait until the agenda item to open it up and anybody can participate. I do have a large number of cars, and I don't know, but I wonder, are you guys here for the bicycling item? If you are, then there will be an item in here. Now, it's in the actual item, it's in the consent calendar, which means that you're already ahead, so make sure you don't say anything that derails that, because as far as I'm concerned, a consent item means there's almost no particular issues with the item. Okay, but when we get to it, you'll get a chance to have you say, okay? Just give us a second to get there. The first thing under the next item is the presentations, proclamations, and appointments. During this segment of the agenda, board members may discuss the presentations of proclamations and may announce appointments to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission,
Mr. Chair,
the Yuma County Board of Adjustment.
I think there was someone else on call to the
Oh,
public.
you
that
have
was
someone
not
else on call?
related to the
So,
bicycle.
are you then telling me that everybody that's here is not on a bicycle then? Well, if anybody else wants to say something, I know Hugh wanted to say something, but I thought he was a bicyclist guy, just he didn't dress properly.
We actually have more than that issue to discuss with you, so that's why we.
All right, so if the issue that you want to bring out and call to the public isn't in the agenda already, then fine, I'm sorry, I just skipped it. I was overwhelmed by the number of colorful outfits. And it threw me off. I didn't see people dressed regularly, and, I didn't realize that. So, yeah, I've heard that Hugh wants to say something, wants to address us. So, Hugh, come up and address us on an item that is not bicycling.
No bicycling.
All right.
Good morning.
Morning.
No, we need
Chairman
your
Reyes,
name.
Members of the board, I'm Hugh Hendren with the Foothills Optimist Club. Kind of sounds weird to say that and not as a member or an employee or.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about a fundraising we're doing. The reason I decided to come to the board, you guys over the last month or so have been talking about parks in Yuma County, and we've been talking about how to do that. Well, we are working with Public Works to use the retention basin on Camino del Sol as a park. We have a ramada, some picnic tables and grills in there, and now we're trying to raise money to put some actual playground equipment in there. And so what we're doing, for those who like pictures, we're raffling off this Polaris 900 UTV. It's got, that's for my cheerleaders, so don't lose those.
Yeah, that's,
Right there.
Hey, thank you, ma'am. We're only selling 650 tickets, but they're $50 a piece. But the odds are good, and for all of you who I know support recreation in Yuma County, I mean, you got to have something to do besides ride the bike, right? So I know you guys are around, but since there's a lot more of you than there are of me, I'll make my pitch to you. But I just wanted to let the board know what we're doing and obviously try to solicit support from supervisors who might have a checkbook with them or a credit card that want to give me some money and take the ticket. So Foothills Optimist has been around for a long time. We're making one last ditch effort to actually get playground equipment out there. So thank you for your time.
I see that you haven't forgotten how to ask money from the board.
And so far I'm having about as much successes I had as a
Well,
director.
you should
so
know better.
Well, let me help you out with that. You come see me on Friday.
I'll be there. And if
Okay.
anybody wants tickets, Liberty Motorsports is selling tickets for us. They're doing a lot to help us support in this event. And also Creative Concepts Realty in the Foothills. Sandy is a member of the club, and they're selling tickets for us as well. Or anybody that happens to still looking on the camera happens to remember me from when I worked here. If they call 941-0360, I'll bring them tickets.
How much are tickets? You didn't say.
They're 50.
I did, but I
Oh,
went
I'm
through
sorry.
it quick. We're only selling 650. So
Okay.
the odds are good, but they're not cheap. They're $50 a piece, but it's a $17,000 vehicle. So, you know, that's not bad odds.
Oh,
So thank you for your time.
No problem. We'll
And
send,
it's nice
we'll send
not
you the
to be
bill for the
retired.
advertisement.
Go home after this.
We were gonna make you wait after the bicycles. I thought, just,
Thanks, you.
Bye, Hugh.
bye.
all right. Anybody else on the call to the public and any other items that, may not be in the agenda or it's not in the agenda? Oh, sorry. Oh, well, you do look like a bicycle store. Somebody else was coming up.
We do try. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the Board of Supervisors, thank you for the opportunity to talk with you today. First, let me say that I'm Jeff Brand. I'm Vice President of the Yuma Region Bicycle Coalition, and I'm speaking on behalf of the coalition. First, let me say that the coalition urges the adoption of the proposed bike route guideline. While the guideline is a very small step in the development of a bicycle infrastructure for the unincorporated sections of Yuma County, it is nevertheless a critically important first step. And while some may find it not a perfect document, it has been markedly improved by input from the cycling community, and we strongly urge its adoption. It's time for the county to finally codify its activities related to cycling. But the guideline is not the primary reason that we are here today. We're here to talk to you about the roadway conditions on 9E between 28th and 24th Street. The City of Yuma's 24th Street bike lane is the premier bike lane within the borders of Yuma County. And unfortunately, the only eastern access to the bike lane is through 9E. To put it simply, 9E is just currently plain dangerous to cyclists. And I'm sure the speakers will give you a detailed feel for what it feels like to ride it. The City of Yuma owns 75% of this section of the road and has recognized the problem. And as we understand it, proposed a city-county partnership to repave the road and essentially convert it into an extension of the 24th Street bike lane. The county did not accept the city's offer, and we're here to say that was an ill-advised decision. This section of road is the most dangerous roadway regularly used by cyclists. In 2011, two 15-year-old boys were riding their bikes in 9E, and one of them was hit by a car and killed. Since then, the road has only gotten worse. Last month, a car forced me off the county's portion of this section of 9E. Fortunately, the combination of over 40 years of cycling experience and reflexes that still work allowed me to keep my bike upright and to work my way off the sand and back onto the road. A less experienced cyclist might have contributed to the state's tally of serious bike crash statistics. We do not need more bicycle accidents, and God forbid cycling deaths on 9E. The most recent annual ADOT statistics on vehicle-related deaths tell us that 31 bicyclists were killed on Arizona roads in 2016. That's an increase of 2 from 2015. Correspondingly, 1,350 cyclists were injured in vehicle-related accidents. That's an increase of almost 6%. We do not need to add to these sad statistics. They are sad enough as is. What we need, and what we are respectfully requesting, is getting the roadway fixed and fixed properly. We do not need years of planning board hearings, studies that take forever to be concluded, a proposal bouncing from one county department to another until it dies a slow death because it does not coincide with a given official's current personal or professional priorities. What we need, and what we are requesting, is that the Board of Supervisors prioritize the correction of the 9E situation by setting a date certain for negotiations to begin with the City of Yuma to create a fast-track plan to totally redesign and rebuild this section of roadway in order to facilitate bicycle safety in Yuma County. The County of Yuma has ignored the legitimate needs of cyclists for way too long. And as a result, we continue to lose active winter visitors to Tucson and a wide variety of other Sunbelt destinations. We've spoken to you about this many times before, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you all the stories of the people who don't come here or come here and leave because they find cycling better elsewhere. As the studies tell us, active retirees, particularly cyclists, tend to be upper middle income folks with generous spending habits. So the loss of these visitors means that other locations get the economic benefits that should be ours. We have the best climate for winter cycling in the United States, and we should be the Southwest cycling mecca. But the county's lack of attention to this economic driver deprives us of that opportunity. And the correction of the 9E situation is a step in reversing that trend. Please, let's work together in a timely fashion and correct this dangerous situation. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks.
Yes, staff, let us know about that in the future.
All right. The vice chairman is just whispered in my ear, which he does quite often, but from afar. That why don't we just ask the staff to give us an update on that negotiation between the county and the city and see where that's going on. At least, as I explained before, this item is not specifically on the agenda, but it's related to the item we will be discussing. So what we do in this particular case is just direct staff to keep us informed. We were not, I was not aware of any negotiations or any requests between the city and the county, but we'll catch up with it. Okay. You may go next.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, esteemed board members. Jaime Hernandez, 7714 East 26th Street, Yuma, Arizona.
That's right, I did.
Not with the bike club
I
this
know.
morning.
I did see you. I did see you.
I'm here to introduce myself. I've met a few of you, but haven't had the opportunity to reach out to the rest. My name is Jaime Hernandez. I am the new community liaison for the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. Thanks to Ms. Susan Thorpe's help, I am housed at the Community Development Services Building on Avenue B. I do live within the city limits, so the environmental issues that are suffered by your constituents, they're the same that I suffered. The same smells, the flies, the ozone issue. They all are of my personal interest because I am also a resident. So I will take that as part of my advocacy because my job is to perform outreach, provide technical assistance, and also provide advocacy. And on off hours, you'll see me running errands to the local Walmart, sporting shorts and flip flops, and maybe yelling at the ref or the umps on Saturdays because my kid plays Little League.
Gotta get a bicycle.
I do own a
running
bicycle.
around.
But either way, I'm very approachable. Please do contact me if you need anything.
All right. Well, thank you. I sort of, your name seemed familiar. I was supposed to meet with you some time ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I missed a meeting with you. I was a little late for that meeting, and so when I saw your name and you didn't put anything under it, I just simply assumed you were with the bicycle crowd or something.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, normally when it's called to the public, then you would say something about what you're, doing a presentation on, other than Hugh, who, send his word directly, most of the time. So it's, forgive me for not, opening it up and
I'll be more detailed next time. Thanks.
all right. Okay. Well, good to see you and good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other non-bicycle related item in the agenda for the call to the public? If not, then we'll move on to some of the, is somebody else?
No?
No?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought so.
Well, you got a lot of speakers.
It's
Yeah.
back to bicycles.
Well, you know, there's an item in the item 11 that we're going to open up on bicycles.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be brief.
Oh, that's what everybody says.
I only got 4
If you said it's going to take me 15 minutes, we would tell you no way. This is like a 3-minute limit and start the clock.
So I'm Mike Miller with Yuma Bike Club. I live here year round. I ride bicycles. I'm president of the Yuma Bike Club. We put on the North End Classic. We put on Somerton Tower Triathlon. Thank you for all the support from the county whenever we do an event. I just want to iterate that the road that they're talking about, we ride that road as well. We ride it in the summertime, and it's still dangerous in the summertime as well. So that would be a good road that I think needs to be addressed along with all the other things that are going along with it. So I just wanted to say thank you for your guys' support and taking a look at that. And the riders who I would have brought more, but I knew that they would have enough from local. Plus, we're all working right now.
Yeah.
So thank you for looking at that. And there are full-time residents who ride that road that need that also to be safe.
It's a year-round thing. We know. It's not just a winter bicycle.
Oh, there's another one.
There's another one.
It didn't work, right?
didn't
All the
work.
instructions about, waiting until the 11th didn't work.
No,
Go
because
ahead.
I need to get back to
I
work.
know.
Hold up your jacket, because I want them to see
I'm
where
Mary
you.
Kay Harton.
We know who you
I
are.
represent Arizona Western College.
Yeah.
I'm the dean of students out at Arizona Western College, and I'm here to advocate strongly that 9E has a bike lane on it. I want to let you know what AWC is committed to do. We have purchased a stencil. We have painted chevrons on our roads to say share the road on campus. We've formed a bicycle club, but there's nowhere to ride safely except for 24th. We have 350 students that live on campus 24/7, 10 months of the year. They cannot get to Walmart without a car. 9E connects them to Walmart. Strongly, strongly, please. We need a bike lane. That will connect them to Walmart, to Fry's, to Subway, to the business, and it also connects me personally as a year-long resident and a lifelong learner here from the foothills to the campus. Our staff at AWC, there's close to 500, and when I put out the call for cyclists, I get a lot of interest, but it's not safe to commute to the campus. So I'm just really want to have you rethink this. Please put the bike lane in. It is a conduit. Personally, it's dangerous to ride 9E. We still have to ride it. It's 95 is the option, or 9E to get there. And I've been where you're on the road and it's the car and me and I'm headed off. And like Jeff said, years of experience can teach us to save ourselves. But other than that, I just would say, what is it? We don't want another fatality on 9E. We want that safe bike lane. It's about safety for me. And it's about our students, connecting the students and the surrounding area. It's just a nice way for transportation, and we desperately need that. The other thing I would like to say, AWC, we're working on signage, we're working on bike paths, we're working on more bike racks, so we're really committed to becoming a bike-friendly institution. Dr. Core supports me, so we've even put money behind it. So we're here to help partner with the city, with the counties, to make the surrounding areas as safe for cyclists as well. So that's all I have. Thank you
All
for your
right.
time.
Okay.
And I'm going to take us back. My colleagues, we got to get back to work.
Look, if we move real fast, I'll open up that item right away so that everybody that's waiting can get a chance to comment. Or I'll speed everything else up to get to your item as quickly as possible.
You're not done.
I'm not done yet.
You want to skip presentation two and go back to it?
I think so. I think I'm gonna do. Let me do something so that we can get this done. I'm going to skip the presentations right now, and I'm going to skip everything else and get to the consent items, and I'll open up item 11 so that you guys can get a chance. This seems to be a better flow of things, and not stop you and stop and go. Okay, so we'll do that. Utilizing my vast powers as the chairman, I will move, just delay the items that are next, which is proclamations and appointments. We're just going to suspend that right now and go to the consent calendar. We have presentations that come before that, but we'll wait. And I'll open the item under the consent agenda, and they will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. There are items 1 through, I think it was 14. Obviously, we're gonna, open up item 11 for you. So item 11 is, gonna be open up. Okay, and I'd like to open up number 10, which I will do after 11. So it will be 10 and 11. You want to put that? All right. Okay, so item 10 and 11, do I hear a motion, unless somebody else on the board wants to open up any other items, do I hear a motion to approve consent calendar items 1 through 14 with the exception of 10 and 11? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? A motion and second to do just that. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. I'm going to open up item number 11, allowing to, open up the gates. Now, let me just say something before you guys all start. You're already on the winning side. So, try it as much as possible, not to push the wrong buttons, like telling us how slow we are and telling us how long it takes, that kind of stuff. We know already. But this is the kind of government entity we run. It's somewhat slower than most, and we understand that. But if we could explain to you that county government is not as flexible and as fast as city government, we can't create ordinances, we can't do a lot of stuff. We simply run things for the state. And so the legislature has to give us approval for a lot of stuff we do, and as you well know, they don't act really fast. So just be patient with us. I'll open it with that, and I'm opening up item number 11, which is Development Services Engineering to adopt resolution number 2018-01, establishing bicycle routes as described within the engineering division policy and practice guideline to establish bicycle routes. Although it may not sound encouraging, it is an encouraging, moving forward. So, Roger?
Good morning, Roger Patterson, Yuma County Engineer. The bicycle route itself that you see in the plan has been reviewed by the Bicycle Coalition, and I don't believe there's any outstanding comments. I think the majority are here to talk about 9E. The bicycle plan only pertains to the areas outside the incorporated areas of the cities and towns. 9E which is this one right here. The whole route from 24th Street, a little bit north of 24th Street, actually at the bridge, going south, is all in the city of Yuma. I'm not aware of any discussion between the city and the county of collaborating and jointly, improving a city road. We keep hearing that it was a city approach to us and we elected not to participate. The offer has never been extended from the city to jointly participate a city road. This entire route, including the railroad crossing, is within the city of Yuma. We've had various meetings between the deputy city administrator as well as the deputy county administrator. I've checked with them. There's been no discussion about jointly improving 9E, which is within the city of Yuma. This the roadway plan that you have before you, this is basically the route that was approved when the comp amendment was proposed and approved. This is a signing diagram, a signing plan to sign these particular routes.
Well, maybe the confusion is because we are including it as part of our, plan, and that may create the impression that we may be responsible for improvements on that route.
That's the extension of the city's bicycle plan.
So we just adopted.
Make it a bicycle route, and where they were at with assigning that route or not, we forwarded it to them. We had our intentions. They had no objections to our signing our route to make sure it extends into the city of Yuma.
Well, we'll get to define the situation. I think now that we are technically aware that there is some sort of, I guess, version out there that talks about us getting involved in doing some particular work on a city street. We don't.
An offer's never been extended. There hasn't been any discussion about. I'm not sure where the information has been originated, but we're not familiar with it.
Okay. Well, we'll find out. Yes, Ms.
Roger, the blue line that goes,
north to south, yes,
Yes.
but it is.
yeah, I was gonna say up and down, but right there on
No,
the
she's-
side. What street is that?
What street?
The one,
Yeah.
it's
Which one?
9E. Which
That
one
little
is? Yeah.
That
That-
one, that's 90.
This one right here?
No.
Oh, the one
don't-
on the left, that one.
That one.
This is 90.
That's 9E. That's
Isn't
what,
that what we're,
No, they
Isn't
were
that-
talking 24th to 28th.
oh, got it, okay.
I was
Okay.
curious. Thanks for
County has
clarifying.
a section
I was curious.
between the South Ely Canal, which is on the north side of 24th Street and 90,
Yes,
of course,
Yeah, that-
north to 95.
okay,
But that's not what the concern is.
the other side,
The-
okay.
well, suffice it to say that now that we're aware there's a problem and that there seems to be some sort of version out there that there's some discussions between the city and the county, we need to clarify that, for us and for the rest of the.
Clarify it. There has been no discussion. I've checked with everybody
Well.
on staff. I can
All right.
clarify, it. there
Yeah.
hasn't been any discussion. They haven't initiated, the city's never approached the county to jointly improve a city street.
Susan?
So I just sent an email to the city administrator so that we can clarify the situation on Avenue 9E. My understanding is that 9E is entirely, the right-of-way for that road is entirely within the city limits. But I do know that the bicycle club was told by the former deputy city administrator that part of it was in the county. So we're gonna clarify it. We're gonna make sure that
That's what I
everybody's
meant.
on the
I know
same
that your
page
version is,
with
we don't know anything
what
about it.
jurisdiction 9E lies in. If it is something that's joint, we'll talk to them. If it's not and it's totally within the city limits, we'll communicate that to the bike club so that they can approach the city to talk about 9E, which is entirely within their jurisdiction. So
Okay.
we'll clarify it and we'll get back to the representatives of the bike club.
The map that I had up when I was talking, which I took off.
You gotta come forward, because when you're doing that, you're not coming out.
The map.
Thank you, Roger. I mean, stay around. Don't go too
Thank you,
far.
Roger.
The map that was up when I was speaking, which came off the county website, shows that the county owns a portion of the roadway that we're talking about between 24th and 28th. There, the white is the county. And that's what the city presents to us, is that you guys are responsible for that portion of the road. And that's why we're here. So, you may have a difference.
That's what we're talking about when I say, let's just get over the confusion part. I mean, we here at the county have it that that's not county right away. The city of Yuma, they're giving you that information, somebody is wrong. And that's what I meant by clarifying, just clarify it. We certainly, if that's part of the county right away, we certainly want to take action to make sure that, the improvements get made as soon as possible. But if that's city right away, it requires a different
Well,
approach.
right, then we have a different direction to talk to, granted.
Right. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody that is here, not to talk about the section of road that may or may not be ours, is welcome to come up front. If you feel that everything that you needed to say has been said, that's fine. If not, then I'll start calling out names, and maybe you want to add something to the discussion or not. You may have set it up. Mary Kay Harden?
She just spoke.
Oh, she just spoke, right, she just left. Mike Triller? Miller, Mike Miller. He spoke. Oh, Jesus. Marty Hoganson?
That was the person that was coming up.
That was
there.
interesting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just a short, really short presentation.
The shirt's great, though.
I do like your shirt.
Shirt's great.
I've been around here for about 25 years, waiting for certain pieces of road to get done. The frontage roads, some of these other pieces of road run that we ride all the time. 4 deaths in my time here. One of them on 40th, just on the west side of Foothills Boulevard. A woman, MD, killed in the morning on her morning ride. Several other people, not all on county roads, one in the city. But I've noticed that the traffic is getting busier and busier every year here. This year is as busy as I've ever seen it. And I'm concerned that if we're going to fix these roads, when we do them properly. I've waited 25 years to see a change, and now, like on 40th, when that piece was done, it was done with no thought of bicycles at all. And 40th is on the south side, is the only street that goes through any distance. Everything else stops from one subdivision to another. You can't get through. it's a main thoroughfare. A lot of bicycles have to go that way, or the frontage road, and we know what the frontage road's like. That moves a lot of the traffic to the north side. Now we're talking about doing the north frontage road in front of all the RV parks on the west side of Fortuna. And we're getting the same thing, doing it without considering bicycles, without considering pedestrians. And there are really a lot of people from those RV parks walking over to the Fortuna, to those businesses. I'm concerned that we're going to wait all this time to have the road repaired or rebuilt and then not do it adequately. It'll be another 30 years before anything can be done. If bike facilities are not put on the road now, they're not going to be put on the road in the foreseeable future. There's no way you're going to go back and tear up curbs and everything and to add to that. So I'm just concerned that when we build the roads, do a good job now.
Right. I think we discussed that.
I think it's coming.
Well, you know, you can.
Roger, is that coming to us on the 5th, that discussion?
The board requested for us to review alternatives to include bicycle lanes on North Frontage Road between 10E and 11E, and that's coming back on the 18th.
On the 18th.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll be talking about that, the 18th.
On the 18th.
Dorothy Reed. There she is.
I appreciate your willingness to hear us out today. The point I'd like to make is about safety. It's, in my opinion, that the only decent shoulders to cycle on in Yuma right now are on I-8 and 28th Street. I know a shoulder was recently added to 3E, when an upgrade to 3E, but it is so full of debris, you can't ride over there. Not only do we need safe places, meaning shoulders, to ride, but the existing places need to be kept clean. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Brandt, just to give you a last opportunity to say something.
And I will say, first of all, as I said in the beginning of my remarks, the coalition strongly supports the adoption of the guideline. Because nothing can happen without the guideline. So it's a bridge to the future, and we strongly urge its adoption, and we know that you're about to do that, and we're highly appreciative of that.
And I will disregard your first 2-page statement.
Well, no, you can keep those, because we are worked up about 9E, as you can tell.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah,
We do.
and you know, we appreciate you hearing us, but if it turns out that the city's presentation that you are responsible for that 25% of that road, then we look towards your leadership to see to it that something happens lickety-split. If not, then we will find someplace else to vent our anger. And you can
Preferably
be sure,
the roadway.
You can be sure. But you've heard from a wide variety of the cycling community. As Mike said, you know, if we thought it was more important, he would have pulled his members out, all of whom work, and we would have had people hanging from the chandeliers. We chose not to do that. But the reality is that within the cycling community, there's a lot of anger about 9E, as well as a lot of years and years and years, as Marty spoke, of people's frustration that the county has been ignoring cycling. Now, we know that many of the folks here have a different view on that, and that light hopefully will be shining through, and we will start to see some changes and some institutional changes with respect to including cycling in various projects from the giddy up. So we thank you for your support. We thank you for hearing us. We hope we brought a little levity to the meeting, as well as some very serious discussion. You know, we're pleased that the staff has presented a guideline, and we think it's critical that it be adopted so that we can move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's it.
I appreciate the lady that just spoke previously about 3E. I believe we do have the ability to sweep that, and so I think we have Public Works here, and I think they heard that, so I expect that'll be taken care of for you shortly.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so having discussed all this, the item is in front of us. It's item 11. It's been, the presentation's been made by Roger. Are there any other discussions from the board members on this item? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve item 11 as presented.
So moved.
It's been moved and second to approve item 11 as presented. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
As you well notice, I didn't ask for discussion anymore. So we're moving on. Thank you, everybody, for coming. You can stay for the meeting. We're not letting you out, but if you gotta go back to work, we're gonna give you a minute. All right. You're welcome. Yeah. We'll give you a minute to resettle. I want to miss all the different looks and colors. Yeah, I was gonna say something about it.
It's been that quick.
Oh, it's better than a lynch mob. Well, at least they were a little friendly.
Yeah.
I thought after the first two letters, I said, "Oh, this is going to get a little testy now."
Like you, I haven't heard anything about that 90.
Yeah, that's why.
That's probably because it isn't ours. The city just shifting the blame. Yeah, the city is just shifting the blame.
No, I know where they're talking about. It is a dangerous area through there.
Okay. Uh-oh, the newspaper's after them. So I don't know how this will turn out in the paper.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, it's good for you guys to. Well, this is going to feel weird. Oh, we could tell. We could tell. You're more like a horse guy.
You had to worn your green vest, you would fit right in.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, guys, would you please fill in the seats and close the doors? I tell you, you're afraid to rile up that group, I tell you. At least you can see them coming. They're colorful enough. All right, then everybody settled in. This is kind of a very quiet situation now. And I hope to have it continue that way. All right, the item that we pulled out is item number 10, also the other item on the consent agenda. I'm going to finish this and go back to the call, to the presentations. Item number 10 is to authorize the chairman to sign an agreement with Unit B Irrigation District for the Avenue B County 16 to County 18 Street Improvement Project for the relocation of irrigation stand boxes and structures. I pulled it out because I love to see this item come up as I drive that, and the only reason I pulled it up is because I do not see, I didn't see an agreement, maybe I missed it somewhere, the ending date for the work. I mean, it's at 120 days, 160 days, it's at 90 days, it's at 1.5 years, it's at 5, it's at before I leave.
Chairman Reyes, members of the board, Frank Sanchez, Deputy County Engineer, Development Services. The agreement doesn't identify an end date, but the contract time for the contractor is going to be 180 days. And so Unit B is going to be administering that construction contract, and they've extended it to 180 days because they're going to have to work through outages, and so they're looking at about a half a year to be able to complete all the relocations of those irrigation stand boxes.
180 days.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
Half a year. Now, the question that comes to mind is the utilities, the other utilities, power lines and those things that are also on the way. Is there any work or discussion going on?
We are in communications with those utilities. They do have some relocations that they need to accommodate for the relocation of the stand boxes, but ultimately their ultimate design is to move out to the new 50-foot right-of-way marks, limits. And so APS, CenturyLink, and so forth are going to be moving their facilities out to the new right-of-way limits.
Well, I know there are, but when are they doing this? At the same time, or do you have any sense of when?
APS is under design right now, So we expect them. It usually takes them about 2 to 3 months to actually do their design, and so we're expecting probably 4 or 5 months to start construction of their power line relocations.
But there's a slim possibility that those two things will be happening at some particular point in time
At the same time. Yeah.
How about the right-of-way acquisition?
We're 95% complete. We have one more parcel acquisition, and we've extended an offer, and we're still waiting on a response.
Well, it gives an opportunity to give me an opportunity to get an update. Meanwhile, to the road maintenance crew, that avenue, it's sometimes in dire need of improvements. Now, I know this is going to extend it a little bit beyond that, but since it's an Avenue B and between 16 and 19, when is that traffic signal going up? Do you have any idea? The one on 19?
There's a long lead time for these signal poles and mast arms. The expected delivery date right now is towards the end of February, first week in March. So as soon as the contractor gets those, it's just a matter of about a week or two to have those installed.
Right, I'm not going to extend it beyond this. I think I already stretched it a little bit. So we're still in 16 to 19, Avenue B extension. Okay, any other questions?
Just a comment. The reason I was going to pull it was to congratulate you.
No, there's no congratulate. It may happen in my lifetime, you know. Roger and I have been talking about this, and I think we had hair back then. You and I had hair, a lot more hair anyway. We were talking about Avenue B extension. Hopefully you will still have hair when this thing is done. You're getting there too, but okay. No more questions. Thank you for the congratulations, but I'll wait until something happens. Any other comments on this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and approve it.
We'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second to approve item number 10 as presented. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
I am hereby moving back to the item of presentations, proclamations, and appointments to begin our presentation of the Yuma County line by Yuma County 77, the Yuma County government channel. At some particular point, we're going to change that Yuma County line to something that doesn't sound so much as line. But, right now we'll deal with it the way it is.
A partnership coming to the Adult Probation Building means healthcare in Old Town Yuma. What's in a name? Well, changing a local court name will hopefully help clear up confusion. And a special profile on the Treasurer's Office. These stories and more, this is your County Line. A partnership coming to the Adult Probation Building means healthcare in Old Town Yuma. What's in a name? Well, changing a local court name will hopefully help clear up confusion. And a special profile on the Treasurer's Office. These stories and more, this is your County Line. What's in a name? Well, it can be a lot of confusion if you're one of the justice courts in Yuma County. Back in 2010, Yuma County Justice Court Precinct 2 moved into the same building as the City of Somerton Municipal Court. So it seemed fitting that people called it the Somerton Justice Court, even though officially it was the Somerton San Luis Justice Court. A little confusing, right? Well, that same court was relocated to the city of San Luis, which added to the confusion to those trying to find the court. So recently, Judge Juan Guerrero adopted a new name change that is designed to help take out the confusion. The South County Justice Court has been officially declared.
Since our geographical location and our precinct composes South County. So we decided to change it to South County Justice Court. And I believe the first day, I think, was the 5th of January. By the 6th, we've had numerous calls from people thanking us that the change had happened, yes.
The newly named South County Justice Court is located at 1359 East Liberty Street in San Luis. A big change in accessibility to health care in Old Town Yuma, thanks to a recent partnership the Board of Supervisors paved the way for during the last regular session. When it comes to the adult probation business, a lot of staff time is spent helping connect probationers to services they may need to further their success outside the criminal justice system and our local jail. Often this means probationers need to see a doctor, have medicines prescribed, or even see a counselor. Far too often, someone on probation doesn't have transportation or the means to get very far to get help. So after months of planning, the Yuma County Board of Supervisors solicited bids for a company to lease half of the first floor of the adult probation building for a full-service clinic that will provide medical, psychological, and behavioral health services. The award went to Community Health Associates, and meetings are underway to have health care across the hall from adult probation.
Whenever we have the opportunity to remove barriers to care, meaning that if they come to this building, they can work on any and all of those in one stop, instead of having to break up multiple parts of the day or multiple days of the week or sometimes multiple weeks of the month. We can help consolidate that, make it more easily accessible and attainable, and we think by removing those barriers, we should have folks be able to stay more consistently engaged in their care.
Over the next few months, adult probation, community health associates, and Simpatico Integrated Care will be working together on the design of the spaces, along with the expectations of service. Although justice-involved individuals, probationers and parolees, and their family members are the primary targeted populations, services are available to members of the general public. Yuma was one of 6 sites in Arizona awarded by the Arizona Health Care Cost Containment System through federal grant funding to specifically co-locate these services in close proximity to each other. Yuma County is the only location able to do so within the same building. Stay tuned, we expect to hear about a grand opening in May, and we'll be sure to be there for you. If you think about a treasurer, most likely what comes to mind is someone that holds the funds, collects taxes. And while that is partially true, there's a lot more going on at the Yuma County Treasurer's Office.
Yuma County Treasurer's Office acts as the bank for the county. Our main goal is to collect property taxes that are billed from the authorities that are listed on your tax bill. Each authority has their own board that votes on their budget, and they work calculations with the assessor's office, and then those numbers feed into our office that go onto your bill. We mail them out in September. They are due December 31st of that year. Or you could break up a payment into 2 separate payments, and the first half payment is due November 1st, and the second half payment is due the following May into the next year, May 1st. We have an online portal, so you can pay your taxes online. You can mail us a check. We have an email notice, so if you get your bill through an email, there's a nice little link for you to pay through that link. You can also pay through bill pay with your bank, and of course you can always come into our office and we can take your payment over the counter. We collect taxes for all of the cities in the county, and we disperse all of those collections. We also take care of grant money that comes in from the federal government or state. When a property tax bill is not paid on time, what happens is it goes through a delinquency period. We have to take that bill to a public auction. Those bills will get paid by investors so that all of the entities can function and can continue their budget. The treasurer's office simply collects the tax that has been determined by the calculations from the county assessor and all of the authorities, the cities and the school districts for their budgets, and then we collect those dollars and then distribute them accordingly.
And don't forget, there's a lot you can do on our website without having to call the treasurer's office, like paying taxes. Just navigate to yumacountyaz.gov and locate the treasurer's page under government.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth and this is your Health Watch. There are many benefits to being physically active. Engaging in regular physical activity have been proven to boost energy, improve mood, prevent the onset of many diseases, and help improve management of chronic conditions. The Yuma County Public Health Services District would like to share the following tips to help you get started. Start slow and build up. Aim for at least 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity exercise or 75 minutes per week of vigorous exercise. Make it a family affair. Take the dog for a walk or head out for a family bike ride. Drop in on a class. Your local gym, school, and parks and recreational department offer a variety of classes for all fitness levels and interests. Enjoy the outdoors. Contact your local parks and recreational department or visit their website to learn about the many bike trails and walking paths available throughout Yuma County. For more information and tips on staying active, please call Yuma County Public Health Services District Health Promotion Division at 928-317-4550. That is all for now. Until next time, stay healthy, Yuma.
If you did any shopping on Black Friday, there's a good chance you did it online. That's the trend being seen across the nation. On a day that we associate with crowds at the mall, the country is now seeing that more people are at home in their pajamas, beating the rush. Your county government offers you deals online as well. You may not know you can purchase lots of things from your county government through our online auction site. It's loaded with equipment we no longer use, like cars and trucks, laptops and printers. You name it, we have it for sale. Currently, the auction is closed, but mark your calendars as the Yuma County Surplus Auction Site will be conducted March 16th to March 30th. This auction process ensures that the county extracts the most possible value from its resources and helps to keep materials out of landfills. The money collected from the online auctions goes back into our general fund. You can find out more about the Yuma County online auction by visiting yumacountyaz.gov/surplus auction. As we close, a reminder for those of you that might still have some Christmas spirit around the house. The Yuma County Public Works Department's tree recycling program is still going on. If you still happen to have your tree but don't know what to do with it, you can recycle it by taking it to the North Gila Valley Transfer Site. They will continue accepting trees until Wednesday, January 31st from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. 7 days a week. Need more information about recycling your tree? Just call 341-2500. We'd like to thank you for joining us for this County Line. If you'd like to watch past episodes, log on to yumacountyaz.gov/VOD. And don't forget, you can join us live on Facebook. We'll see you next time.
Well, that was, a nice presentation. You know that name thing, that name change? Maybe I wasn't listening well, but did the magistrate said South County or did he say South Yuma County? Well, you see, that's my problem right there. And that's a problem that is, prevalent throughout the county. I mean, people most of the time within cities can't separate what the county does from what the city does. In San Luis, for example, and I, as a former mayor, I welcome the opportunity to claim that, the library was ours, right? It's the city of San Luis because they're located in San Luis. But they're county libraries. They're county branch libraries located in different places in the county. The fact, look, if you listen to the presentation a minute ago, the health presentation, at the end of that, the lady that was doing the presentation said, "Stay healthy, Yuma," which, is Yuma County. And to me, if we're going to be talking about a name and recognition for some of these things, the last thing we want to do is remove Yuma County from the name. So, I appreciate the the judge thinking that South County means South Yuma County. It reminds me of California a little bit, right? You know, we're all Yuma County. Those are county facilities. Unfortunately, the more that I think about it, that's not what we want to do. We want to continue with, you know, those facilities being identified as being part of Yuma County. The health department, it's another example. I mean, we do a lot of stuff, and a lot of people assume it's done by the city of Yuma, or it's done by San Luis, or it's done by Summit. It's not. It's done by the county. I don't think that was the intention of the, you know, name thing. But at the end of the day, you know, we should be looking at ways to emphasize the county's presence in a lot of these areas, not the emphasized ones. Some of them. I mean, I didn't particularly like naming the Yuma County Justice Court, you know, the South County Court, because it doesn't really identify it as a Yuma County facility. It just says South County. Well, I guess everybody should assume that it's South Yuma County. I didn't particularly like that. I guess I'll let them know directly. Anyway, that's the presentation of the Yuma County line. And the other item under the agenda is the Public Works mid-year status update on the fiscal year 2017-2018 gravel road maintenance and chip seal program, of which I'll tell you, I've gotten a lot of good reviews on it. You know, just wanted to start off by, you know, thanking you guys, because I think that what you're doing is having an impact, and it's reflected on the comments we get. You know, we certainly get the comments about where there's a lot of potholes in the ground, but you know, there's been a positive, you can tell there's been a positive impact just from the program itself, the implementation of the program. Go ahead, sorry.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Josh Scott, Public Works Director. Just a quick mid-year update on our gravel road maintenance program, and then I'll touch on the paved road information briefly as well. So we've got about 200 miles of gravel roads in our system, and to date we've graded just over 300 miles, which means we've graded, at least maintained all roads at least once. We track the condition of our roads using a method called the PACER method, and it rates the gravel roads on a scale of 1 to 5. And when we started this program 6 months ago, our average rating out there was a 1.6. That's poor condition road, surface deformations, needs new material, drainage issues, that sort of thing. And I think everybody's aware of the road conditions 6-8 months ago. At the end of the 6 months, we brought that rating up to a 2.3. That's where we were sitting at the end of December. That's still a long way to go. Our goal in this program is to maintain all of our roads in a level 3 condition. That would be a fair road. We don't want to let them deteriorate below that. So we've got a ways to go to get there, but we're on our way. The interesting thing about that rating too is we ran these similar numbers at the 3-month mark into the program, and we went from a 1.6 to a 2.4. So 3 months later, we're at about the same rating. It's actually encouraging to me because we moved into the heavy use this time of year between the ag traffic and our winter visitors. So we're not losing any ground. We're able to maintain. So I would expect that number to start climbing as we roll into the late spring and through the summer months as well. And then we're also working on recapping Avenue G around the curve to County 10th Street. We just finished that up. Looks real good down there. These next few slides are just some pictures to give you an idea of what the rating number equates to in real life. So that one on the left, you can see the surface deformation there. You can see some ponding water on the road. It's got drainage issues. That's a 1. The one on the right's a 2. A little bit better shape, but needs some material and some bar ditches cut in there. A couple more. Similar, a 1 on the left, a 2 on the right. Again, you can see that portion of County 6th Street there. It's got some surface deformation. It doesn't have any roadside ditches, and the crown on that one's actually inverted, so it'll hold water rather than shed it off. But again, these are the issues we're looking to address. But with our rating being above a 2 at a 2.3 right now, that means we do have some 3 rated roads in our system, and I give full credit to our crew in East Yuma County. That's where all our roads in a condition 3 are at the moment. You can see that one on the right is one of our better roads, Avenue 29E. It does need to be worked a little bit, but it's got good drainage. It's holding its crown, and it does have some material left on it. So to date, we've spent about $125,000 on gravel road maintenance. That's just the maintenance portion. And you can see that puts us at about $382 a mile. And when we started this program, we budgeted $368 a mile. That's what we expected it would take. And there's a couple reasons we're a little bit above that at this point. One is the initial condition of the roads. They were in a little bit worse shape than we thought, so the initial push took a little more effort. And the other is our equipment operators. They bought into this, and they wanted to make a difference, and they got on their tractors and they went to work, and they probably spent a little more time than they should have on some of these roads rather than just getting them open and in passable condition in that initial push. They were really wanting to reshape them and put those ditches in and things like that. So we had a little more discussion and education with our equipment operators about the different elements of the program, the baseline maintenance versus reshaping and recapping, and how we track that information and what we were focusing on during those first few months. Another thing we looked at the 3-month mark were these budget numbers and what it was costing us. And at that point, we were up around $420 a mile for our maintenance efforts. And again, we were spending a little extra time out there. But with that additional education and discussion with our operators, we've seen that come down these last 3 months, and I would expect that to continue as the program moves on.
The new graders that you guys have an impact? Did you get some new graders?
Yes, we got 2, and they are out on the road now. I've got a picture in here later. We used the new one down on the Avenue G recap. Makes a big difference, and in morale as well. You guys are happy with it. One of the exciting things about this program has been the outreach component. Our field staff is really the front line. They're the ones that are going to interact most often with irrigators and harvest supervisors. So we worked with HR and targeted a customer service training just for our field staff. And we got that done just prior to program kickoff. We've got our informational brochures that were developed in conjunction with the sheriff's office. We hand those out for discussion purposes. There's a little bit of the law and some enforcement that could happen in there. We haven't gone that route. Again, this is about making contact and education at this point. We reconnected with the irrigation districts out there, let them know what our plan was, reaffirmed that we could continue to use their canals as a source of water for our maintenance activities. And then we went and met with a number of groups in the ag community. And that's been really fun. These meetings I walk into, there's been some good ideas that come out of that. And every meeting we go to, we get 1 or 2 more new contacts. And so it's kind of grown. But I get similar feedback to you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of people say the roads are looking better than they have in years. So that's been good to get that quick feedback. We also met with our neighboring cities, and we do maintain about another 10 additional miles of gravel roads for the municipalities, and we bill them for those services or take in-kind services and trade for that. So through these first 6 months, here's some of our successes and challenges with the program. One of the things is the visible results. People are seeing that difference. We're getting a lot of good positive feedback on this. I mentioned our enthusiastic operators. Our field staff has bought into this program 100%. And
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I was at the grocery store and I had a lady come up to me and she was just just so pleased because her husband works for the county. And they were so excited, and he was just very happy to be able to get out there and start doing all that work. And she was shaking my hand and thanking me, and I was going,
Should have said it to me.
I know.
You voted no. That's not true.
I see the same things.
So anyway, I just thought I would tell you that, yeah, I'm getting compliments as well.
That's great to hear. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I get the same thing, especially if I stop out and talk to some of the crews that are working, and they're just total different attitude and demeanor than what it was a year and a half or 2 years ago. It just they seemed before so defeated.
Better not go down that road with, Supervisor Porches here. He'd like to remind us how different we are now from last year, from the year before.
I'll just say it, it started this year or this past year. So, I mean, everybody says like it's better.
It was
now,
before they got
before.
elected. They got elected. Doesn't have anything to do with the
Thank you,
economy.
Darren. Thank you, Ben.
Well, now I hope they get the blame for the security issues. It was not bad before they got elected.
It has been very positive with the staff, and I think that kind of feeds into what I think is one of the biggest successes of the program, and that's moving to proactive maintenance. So, we're on it. It's programmatic, and rather than getting frustrated calls for service, we're getting those compliments now, and that's been a nice change. On the challenges side, we are fighting an aging fleet. Mr. Chairman mentioned our new road graders, so we have picked up some additional equipment recently. The road graders, we got a new water truck in the fleet as well, and that is making a difference. I do also want to recognize our mechanics over at Public Works. They've bought into this program as well. They've stayed late, come in on weekends occasionally to make sure we do have a maintenance crew out there on the road. We're collecting a lot of data with this program, and we're asking for it in ways that the staff isn't used to providing or hasn't been asked to think about in the past. And that's so we can benchmark and monitor this program. So there is a lot of data that comes in, and as part of that, there's been a big effort on the quality control side of that and the verification. So we do spend a lot of time collecting that data and then going through and making sure it's correct, it's in the right spot, that things are accounted for. But as we move along, that'll get to be routine, and we'll get through that part a lot quicker. And then, of course, we've got other priorities to balance. We got a lot of other stuff going on. One of the bigger ones over the first 3 months of the program were the overlays we were doing in support of the chip seal program that we put in place at the same time also. So we did get all the overlays done, but it did put a strain on some of the crews and the equipment for a while there, but we worked through that. So the second half of this FY, we're going to concentrate on reshaping all the roads. We've gotten through our initial push on the maintenance effort, so we'll move into the reshape. We're going to recap a little over 9 miles of roads, and as I mentioned, we just are wrapping up our first recapping on Avenue G and County 10th. And we'll continue to analyze our data and evaluate the time required between maintenance cycles. We had some goals going into the program on how many times we wanted to touch a road every year. So we're working to analyze that and also the appropriate times. So some of these roads we're seeing, especially this time of year, probably can't go 90 days without maintenance. We got to kind of compress those, but I would expect in the summer we can probably stretch the time between maintenance visits out.
Recap, is that placing new material?
Yes, I'm sorry, yeah, that's placing new gravel on the roadway.
Okay.
We'll be doing some additional training with our staff as well, getting some SOPs in place as we learn things as we go. More outreach as well. I'd like to get in front of some of these ag groups before the end of the season and share some of this data and information with them, and also see if we've had any conflicts out there or any new suggestions that might be out there as well. This is our recapping down on Avenue G. That top picture, you can see the new material, Wind Road there, and then the guys spreading it out, and that's our new water truck on the left and our new grader on the right. So road turned out real nice. We did get some mud pulled up. They did harvest the adjacent fields, but that was expected this time of year. Real quick on the paved road side, working with engineering and through their contractor, We have completed just over 54 miles of chip seal so far this year. And those 54 miles of chip seals gave us an OCI increase from a 66 to a 74. So that's an 8-point increase for those roadways. And then we also had almost 16 miles of other roads that we did with probably more higher level treatments that were part of the CIP. We had a double chip seal down on Highway 95 near Gadsden, some mill and fill and new construction associated with the ADOT project on 3E and Highway 95. You see a bigger OCI increase there. That's 22 points. Obviously, new construction and those higher level treatments are more expensive, but you get a pretty big bang for the buck there. And you throw all that together and weight it, and so far between the chip seals and those other treatments with those roads that we've hit, we've seen about a 10-point OCI increase, so up into 75.
And that's the work we're contracting, right?
The chip seals?
Yeah.
Yes, Public Works will do the overlay if needed, and then the contractor will do the chip seal and final stripe.
I mean, the only thing that, and I mentioned this to Roger, maybe I should have mentioned it to the Public Works Department, is that when they do the final seal, which is more like the black last
Plug
part,
seal? Yeah.
they should make sure that the potholes are covered, because what happens is they end up painting them, with black, and you're driving thinking, well, this is an even road, and then you end up with the fact that it's newly resurfaced but still has potholes in it because it took a long time. This is one of those situations where, they did the repairs and then they couldn't finish the seal. They came back and finished it 3-4 months later, and by the time they came back to finish them, some of the potholes were back into holes. So, somebody should pay attention to those things so that they don't seal something and make it look like it's a really decent road, and then you find out that they're just now painted potholes as opposed to, regular ones you could see from far away. So,
Absolutely. I appreciate that all. As we move into the next round of chip seals this spring, we'll do
Well,
that.
I
We'll
think
go out
it's,
and inspect those roads we overlay.
yeah, I think it's obviously normal that when they finish, preparing it and they finish the work, I mean, it's not going to happen. But if you wait months, those potholes reappeared, and then you end up, like I said, just sealing the pothole. So just a comment.
We're already starting to plan for next fiscal year, both on the gravel road and the paved road side. We're taking some of the lessons learned over the last 6 months and taking a look at how we do our overlays. The timing was a bit of an issue this first go around, and adjusting our schedule on when we mix asphalt to try and reduce the impact to the gravel road maintenance program and get a little bit further out in front of the chip seal contractor. So we'll be starting to make our asphalt much earlier this next go around. We're also trying to balance addressing our bad roads while trying to keep our good roads good. We don't want to pour all our resources into our bad roads and have the ones that are good deteriorate into bad roads. So we'll be able to provide a little more detail at the retreat, but we can talk about specific roadway segments and budget information, but I just wanted to kind of plant the seed now that that's kind of our approach, is to try and mix in some of those good roads and keep them good at the same time we're working to bring the bad roads back up.
Well, good. It's a good update. Thank you. I mean, we tend to get the top layer of things, just the good or the bad. But there's a lot of work going on, and this is a very good way of letting people know that it takes planning. It takes a lot of actions to get to a certain point, and it's good to get a report like this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback.
No comment?
No question, but comment is that's a great report. Thank you, and thank your staff.
Yes, absolutely. They're the ones that boots on the ground and are getting this done.
Yeah,
Yes,
and from the perspective of the supervisors that have a lot of roads out there, rural roads that are maintained by the county, as opposed to supervisors that have more in an urban area, that really hits us closer to home, because it's what people see all the time. It's the only thing that they relate to the county roads. So to us, just before this new supervisor got elected, we couldn't find a way to do this. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you.
This was sarcastic for you.
Yeah. And like I said, compliment all your people, the job they're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You know, just and before you go, though, I should, you know, because it has to do with the county roads. And I mentioned this before, and Roger, I think, well, I don't know if Roger was here, but, you know, I did get some comments afterwards about the safety of those roads. The moment you improve the condition of the road, you're also having people drive faster through those roads. You know, it just goes with, you know, with the territory. I mean, the roads look better. The people just think, oh, Jesus, I mean, now I could, you know, there's not many potholes. I can drive faster, and it's creating, if not, it's a reality when you see all those, you know, fatal traffic accidents, especially in South County, which has happened a lot over this year. That seems to be an unusual number of accidents. It may be just that there's a lot of attention being placed on those accidents because they've become much more, you know, serious. That, you know, we discussed this prior, that we need to focus also on the safety of those roads. I mean, not so much maybe even the gravel roads. I mean, I don't hear that many accidents that happen on gravel roads are not as, I guess, not in the public eye as much, because I think it happens between tractors and it happens between, you know, farming, and they're all keeping it together. But some of the accidents that have been happening in South County are very dramatic, very tragic, and they just highlight the fact that the more we improve those roads, the condition of those roads, the more people like to use them to travel faster. And I know we can't do much about the human factor involved in it, but making them safer doesn't necessarily just mean, you know, streets, you know, signals and those type of things. It may also mean speed reducers, things that we really haven't thought of before, to slow people down a little bit or to let them know ahead of it. I mean, roads, as I've driven many roads, I start to see that there's some basic logical actions that you can take, like, you know, creating indentations on the road, so when you're coming off the side on the right side, you know, you start to, you know, it starts to shake your car. You realize, hey, you're getting off the lane. Those type of measures may help us a little bit in terms of providing safety for bicyclists, for example, as you're getting off the road a little bit. I know they hate those. But I mean, it's either that or getting run over, right? So, or in a particular setup, I mean, there's those yellow markers that, you know, you have to go through to get some, you know, that tells you, hey, look, you're coming up on an intersection. You know, some of those measures may not, you know, we're always thinking about traffic signals as a way to improve the safety, and they are probably, but they're very complex. And as you can tell, you know, just to put up, you know, slides, traffic signals it's a complex process of determining, you know, doing studies and doing a lot of stuff, while all we're trying to do is just simply improve the safety, let people know, look, you're coming up to an intersection, and there's a lot of intersections in the county that could use those type of simple measures that, you know, we'd like to, at some particular point. Yeah.
You think your crew's happy now? Wait until you tell them they can build a speed bump.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Roger and I have had some discussion with Susan about that, the comments you brought up at the last board meeting. And we're expecting to come back, I believe it's the second meeting in February, with an agenda item.
Good.
To talk about safety at our.
Well, thank you. I didn't mean to, you know, it was a very good presentation, but
It was very good.
thank you.
Yes.
Right. Right. Well,
Mr. Chairman,
sure.
Just a comment. I think, you know, we've talked about these improvements and the way things have improved on these roads. We need to give some credit where credit's due, and I think it's County Administrator Thorpe took a fresh look at things and figured out a way to do this. So I wish I could take the credit, but it's not.
Don't worry about it.
Our county administrator was
Supervisor Bush
instrumental
as
in
well.
It truly was a team effort. You know, Mr. Melcher was involved, and of course the engineering staff as well. So yeah,
it's a team effort. Yeah,
it is, and it's been great.
Thank you. Thank you all. Mm-hmm.
All right then. Well, that takes care of the presentations part. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll move on to the discussion and action items. The first item there is to authorize the county administrator to negotiate an economic development incentive agreement in an amount not to exceed $80,000 over a 4-year period with the company considering a location in Yuma County that will create over 50 new full-time jobs and have a capital expenditure for construction equipment in excess of $20 million. Susan, tell us as much as you can tell us publicly, and I suppose, you know, we've got a visitor here.
This is step one of a 3-step process. So you would just authorize us to start the negotiation process. We would proceed with the negotiation process. We would bring that back to you in an executive session. And then the third step, once getting your direction from executive session, we bring it back to a public meeting where you would adopt whatever that incentive agreement is that you have agreed to. So we do have GYADC, Greg Levan and Paul Melcher, the Deputy County Administrator, have been working closely on this project. So I don't know if they have any comments.
Is there anything that you can tell us publicly, or is it, just what it's been out there? I mean, we do get a little more information, about this, but I mean, some of this, and I understand, we've been around for a while, and we understand a lot of this are very private negotiations where companies that haven't made that commitment, need to allow you to, speak more publicly about it. So we understand. I understand just from your presentation, this is very early in the process, but it's part of that process that we have to follow to get to the point where we actually take action. That defined it, sort of?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing that I would add is I would congratulate Yuma County Attorney's Office for working directly with Mr. Levan and myself to facilitate the development of this whole process. Without their input and guidance on it, we wouldn't be at this point today. So I think I wanted to recognize them so they get their share of credit too.
All right. Okay. Suffice it to say, we do have a lot more information here that, that will help us make that decision. Is there any comments or anything from us before we take action on this?
Paul took my comment.
All right. Do you guys, this is probably as far as we can go right now. So I'll entertain a motion to approve item number 1 as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the county administrator to negotiate an economic development incentive agreement in an amount not to exceed $80,000 over a 4-year period with a company considering a location in Yuma County.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No? Okay. The motion carries. All right.
Second.
Somebody seconded from that. Okay. The next item in the agenda, so anticlimactic, I was reminded. County Administration Board of Supervisors consideration modifications if deemed appropriate and approval of Yuma County 2018 resident survey.
If I could just make a couple of opening comments. The board has looked at this a couple of times, and we've gotten really good constructive comments and suggestions from you. So Paul Melcher and Teresa Diaz, our management analyst, as well as Kevin Tell, our communications director, have worked hard on this project to make sure it meets your needs. This is a final time to say, does it meet your needs, or if there are some other changes you would like to make before we kick it off and start a marketing campaign to encourage people to give us feedback so that we can improve our services. It's really all about how are our departments doing? What can we do better? How can we meet the needs of our residents and our visitors even better than we do today? So with that, I'll turn it over to Paul for a presentation, brief presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Paul Melcher, Deputy County Administrator. I did want to recognize that as part of the presentation that moves forward, staff is here to present to you updates about the Yuma County Resident Survey. Teresa Diaz, management analyst, is in the back. She'll be helping guide through part of the survey portion of the presentation. Just as a quick reminder, these are the departments that will be participating in the survey itself. At the December 4th, 2017 board meeting, the Board of Supervisors had provided some comments related to the initial presentation of the survey. This is the ways that staff has addressed those comments. First, we removed the open-ended questions that were part of the initial portion of the survey. We had addressed the aspects of computer or lack of computer access for both English and Spanish speakers. At kiosks that we'll have strategically located throughout the county, we're going to provide copies of the surveys in both English and Spanish so that people who don't have computer access or aren't familiar with computers can still complete the survey. I'll go into more details about the kiosk locations later on in the presentation. There's also a question about keeping the survey length manageable, and in English-Spanish versions of the surveys itself. We're going to walk you through the survey just to give you an idea of both the accessibility for both languages and also how we've been able to manage and keep the survey length short. What we're looking at here on the screen now is the representation for those people who access the website to be able to conduct the survey, complete the survey. So you can see that there are links and descriptions to the survey in both English and Spanish. We're going to start just with a brief overview of the English version of the survey. We have some introductory questions at the beginning of the survey. So you can see they're very short and concise. Teresa's going to go through and complete the survey. I know that we know what the questions are. It will seem quicker to you as the board. When we've timed out the surveys, in most instances, it takes between 2 to 3 minutes to complete a survey. I'll show you a couple of the exceptions here, but overall, keeping with the removal of the open-ended questions, the survey is very concise and short. Again, some introductory questions about where people live and reside in the county. This provides the introduction into some of the more specific demographic questions. As you'll note here, there are several areas to select, including towns and census designated place. A lot of times people identify their residents even if they live in Tacna as a town, so we wanted to make that option clear to them. You can also have areas within the survey where they can put in direct information. And as you'll note below, there are items in the survey where they'll have multiple chances to, or multiple choices for the question.
Before you move off 3, are you asking that question in English? So do you or other members of your household speak language other than English, Spanish as your first language? Wouldn't that kind of be a first question that before people get that far, you know, they would have to answer? Because, well, I know, that's what I mean. That question should be the first question that you get asked, right? Do you speak English or Spanish? Which survey would you take? Well, I get that, but I mean, that question.
Because it's asking about other members of the household.
Other members.
Yeah.
Well, it says do you.
The first part, it was either Spanish.
Yeah, I get it. But if you're in the English one, then if you're already in the English one, you already chose it, right? So the next question is do other members of your family.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. So we could, yeah.
I mean.
So Teresa, if you.
No?
No,
I don't
I
think so.
agree. I like
No.
it though. It needs to be, yeah. Is English or Spanish your first language?
If you chose the survey in English, right?
That
you already
doesn't
made
mean that English is your first language.
it. Doesn't?
No, how many people, when you're a child and they come into
Well, other people, yes. If your household uses Spanish as a first language, I can understand that. The school asks you that.
It's you or.
Right.
So
See, it's or other members.
Yeah.
your kids don't speak that question, we say, okay. well,
All right, fine, leave it. It's okay. It's not a big
I
deal.
like it the way it is.
I'm taking a survey. How many people here like it? The question as it is, and you know, we'll move on. Go ahead, keep it going, keep it going.
So I wanted to identify, you've seen the multiple choice selections. There will also be opportunities to fill in and provide input. And it also specifies which departments are available to take surveys. So as Teresa moves forward through the survey instrument, this is the point where if you wanted to just take the general overall survey of the county, ask those questions, you can. If you want to go into something specific, the department, this is the redirect page. So if you select yes here, it directs you to the specific listing for the agency so you can take those surveys. If not, it just takes you directly to the ending demographic information, which we'll show you in a little bit. So here are the listing of all of the participating agencies. We're going to use Public Works as the sample. Again, before we move to that survey, we wanted to show you that, again, the survey length is approximately 2 to 3 minutes. Most of the agencies have questions that are 5 or less. We've added a couple of key questions that we'll show you in a second to talk about some customer service. There are only 2 exceptions to this in terms of the length, and that was for the communications and the sheriff's office. Their surveys are a little bit lengthier, but they also have some more direct questions related, and the sheriff's office has several divisions that they're asking questions about.
So if you select 3 departments, I guess the survey is going to get a lot longer, right? 7, 8, 10 minutes?
That's correct. So we're looking at the average length per department is 2 to 3 minutes, not the overall survey length.
Do you want to make that comment something that the survey will tell you before you take it? You know, every, like say before you choose, you know, before you choose, say, you know, that this will only take you 2 to 3 minutes per department, so that people know that, you know, because if they don't know how much it's going to take, they may not just simply go there, just to avoid spending the time.
Yeah, I think you should put on there, not selecting a department will end the survey, right?
Or something to the
Or selecting a department will
increase it by 2-3 minutes.
Will ask you to survey per department.
Okay.
So to let them know that they can end the survey now, if they don't want to go, because you might select those and then all of a sudden now you're in this big queue that you didn't really want to, you wanted to be done with the survey. Does that make sense?
Yes, because on the previous slide, Teresa can show us, so if you select no, then this is the final page where we talk about the other demographic information.
Yes, yeah,
They should have an option
Okay.
to go straight there,
Right.
or they need to understand that the survey's going to get longer if you select a department.
Maybe we shouldn't tell them that, eh? But
No.
If I was taking the survey and that happened to me,
or maybe just
I'd
simply
defer
say
to
that, right?
I would
You know,
too.
if you take, any
Especially
of the
if I'm on my
departments, it
way
may
out
take
to
you 2 or
lunch.
3 minutes longer. That way, people can do that.
Some introductory kind of language about the expectation for
That's right.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe how many questions more you're gonna have to answer per department?
I just give them a time frame, tell them, it'll take you
Yeah.
2 or 3 minutes. If you tell them how many questions they may,
Adding departments will
because
add
the questions can get
additional
complicated
time.
for some
Well,
people.
But the timing, it also depends on how good you are with the computer. It can take you a lot longer.
That's
Oh,
correct.
no
And if you
kidding.
decide
So you
also
say
to
2
add
minutes.
comments, it would take longer.
Well, if you're dumb, it'll take you longer. You gotta
Yeah,
put that in
so-
there, right? You can't. If you're computer literate, it'll take you 2 minutes. But if you're
Looking at
literate,
the public works survey, you can see as Teresa moves through and answering the questions that the first ones are very specific to the survey. At the top, you had requested the informational aspects and a description of what the department does. So that precedes all the questions on each of the survey pages. So as Teresa's going through and answering the survey, you'll note down here that
You got
public,
a typo, number 5.
how often do you visit? Yeah.
take the S out.
Wow, that was quick.
So Public Works has 6 questions. Or excuse me, 7 questions. And what I wanted to bring to your attention as Teresa's filling out the last one are these 2 questions right here. 8 and 9 are on all surveys. It's just a general, how are we doing? How quickly did we do it? Was your contact good? And that sort of thing. So at the completion of this department, you have the option to select again if you want to go to any of the other departments down below. So that goes back to, having that expectation of the time limit. So if you go to select no, it takes us back to this, you're almost done.
And if you select yes, it'll take you to another survey?
Well, you would just
Yeah.
have to click
Department.
on the next
And the
department
department?
survey you wanted to take.
You want to have the same language there, I think.
What if they click 3 different departments on the initial part?
This only allows you to select one.
Okay.
Yep, so you can only do one survey.
Oh, on the
You-
initial one?
Yes.
Initially.
Okay, I thought you could select up to 3.
You can, but you have to do it one at a time.
There was a section that said which of these departments, which are the top 3 that you think we should focus on. That was the 3.
That was the choice of
But you
3.
can only select one out of the group of 9 or however many.
At a time.
At a
You
time.
could go
Okay, so
through
I'm-
and you could complete every one of these surveys individually.
So the previous discussion that we had, if you make a selection there, you can only select one.
Right, and it takes
Okay,
you
so
to
if you make
that.
another selection,
It'll
it's
take
going
you
to
to the next
deselect
one.
the first one that you got.
It comes, yeah, yes.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, all right, I like that.
And as Teresa fills out the demographic information, this is the final portion of the survey. It allows that person to make comments, and it also allows them to enter their email so they can get the results of the survey.
All right, good. I like it. I don't even say those words with surveys, but.
So in closing, Mr. Chairman, one of the things that we wanted to do is also show you the mobile view. As you can see from the picture on the board, that the mobile view or the mobile aspect of taking the survey is almost identical to the online version, which is very helpful so that there's continuity there. So in terms of the next steps, with the board's approval, we're looking at kicking off the survey beginning February 1st through March 31st of 2018. Again, as we discussed at the previous meetings, the marketing outreach will deal mostly with social media and through our stakeholder email list, but we also have some additional aspects of marketing which include an email signature tagline at the end of all the county employee emails so that people looking at an email could be able to select and be able to go to the website to answer the survey. And we're also looking at the department kiosk sites. Again, at the kiosk sites, we'll have computers available for persons to be able to take the survey in addition to the hard copies of the survey. Those sites are going to be located here as one of the sites on the first floor in 198 South Main. We're going to have one in the Law Library of the Justice Center. We're also going to have them at Development Services and at all the library facilities. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the presentation. I'd be happy to answer any other questions that the board might have.
One's coming up.
I think we missed an important question at the beginning of the survey. Are you a county employee? Are you employed by Yuma County? If they click yes, I would pay close attention to the survey results. We don't want a bunch of county employees going and telling us how incredibly excellent their department is, right? Or a disgruntled employee going in and telling us how awful that it is. So I think you should add that. Yeah, I mean, but at least it's there.
Any other
And
questions?
what would you do if it is a county employee? You're going to disregard it or what?
No, I think that
You could at least take a hard look at it.
It's a sorting
yeah,
mechanism. You can determine whether there are different answers by those that are employees versus other residents or visitors.
Well, this is like trying to prevent people from taking 10 surveys when you don't have to give your name.
And there is a way that we can track to see, it'll be difficult from the library areas because the survey can be tracked back to a certain address, but you would anticipate in those instances and have that expectation versus some resident where you might have 10 or so surveys, yes.
Okay. Well, you know, no system is going to be perfect. I think that just by making it shorter, making it more concise, and leaving a lot of the open-ended questions out of it, you may get more use out of this one than we've had them in the past. All right.
A question.
Sure,
Mr. Chairman. Okay, the libraries, does that include the 2 school libraries in the Far East County?
Mr. Chairman, we were anticipating Welton, but we hadn't considered the Dateland Library. Is that what you're referencing?
Dateland or Mohawk?
Okay, we'll put those on the list then and see how we can coordinate that.
No, mainly Dateland, because like I said, they're so far out, it would give them an avenue
to take it.
Thank you. We'll see if we can coordinate something with those 2.
Okay.
Why do you keep paying so much attention to?
I don't know. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
I don't.
Right.
Those are the areas that need to grow.
You don't need anything. You don't need, you need approval of the form? Because this is, an approval of the Yuma County Resident Survey?
I'd like to have your approval to move forward with the resident survey as amended by the comments that you made today.
Well, then fine. I'm not beyond doing that. I mean, is there a motion
You
to
want a
approve the
motion?
survey? Yeah, I guess that's what they want. They want approval. They don't want to be blamed later on for, I say, you approved it.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it up to the county administrator, whatever she thinks.
Yeah. Is there a motion? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, there a second?
Second.
That's motion and second to approve the updated survey form to be taken between February 1st and March something. Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
That was Porteous and you?
No.
No, it was in this side fully, totally, in the left side.
All right.
Okay, the next item is item number 3. It's an update and discussion on possible action regarding testing and interim improvements at 197 South Main. The ongoing saga of South Main.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dave Hillen, Director of General Services, Facilities Management. Over the past 2 weeks, we've been able to continue the improvements across the street at 197. As you may remember, when we made the proposal, we had the work divided into 5 areas, the first 2 of which were testing of certain materials for lead-based paint and asbestos-containing material. Those tests have been completed. I reported previously on the results from the asbestos material. The report on lead-based paint is that there is no further concerns in the area that we are working on. The abatement work to remove the asbestos-containing material has been completed as of last week, and our environmental engineering firm returned and retested the area and gave us clearance to move forward. And again, since there is no lead-based paint concern, the money we had budgeted to abate that will not need to be expended. If you've been across the way recently, you may notice that we have some work going on in the very front of the building. We're expanding the conference rooms inside the main doors. That work is scheduled, started earlier this week and is scheduled to continue through the end of the month. Because of that work going on, we're going to delay the beginning of the construction work in the unfinished area, just so that there's not a great deal of disturbance going on to the people working in the building. And as such, the contract has been awarded to a general contractor, and the cleaning portion of the work is subcontracted under his firm. And that work is scheduled to begin on the 5th of February. The first week will be the demolition portion, and then the cleaning subcontractor will come in and perform their work over the following week. And then the construction activity will resume and continue through mid-March.
Hey, Dave?
Yes.
Why would you do the cleaning before the construction's all completed?
The first portion of the construction work is to open up enclosed walls and floors and allow access to get into those hidden spaces to clean those areas. After the construction work is complete, the cleaner will return at the end to do a final clean of the whole site.
Thank you.
Additionally, we had some alternate work that we discussed previously. The sidewalk work on the south side of the building is back with the structural engineer. He's providing a second option. That should be done by the end of the week, and then the two options for bidding the work will be resolicited. As well, the air conditioning unit for the room with the ballot machine on the first floor is, we are waiting on a proposal back from our mechanical engineer for the services required to perform that work. We should have that shortly, and then we will put a plan together and put that out to bid as well. We just contacted the environmental firm that performed the air testing and gave them notice that we will proceed with the second portion of that work. I don't have a schedule just yet, but I will report that next time. They will be conducting additional testing for carbon dioxide, volatile organic compounds, and ozone. And the last step, again, will be to completely retest and balance the HVAC system of the whole building once all the work is complete.
Okay.
That's where we stand as of now.
It's pretty good. It's been some progress.
We're moving forward. I did have the opportunity to walk through the site with Supervisor Pancrazzi. She saw the preliminary results.
Mr. Chair, I'm very pleased with the corrections and some of the things that they're doing. Yes, they did have a leak on the third floor with this last rain, but it wasn't coming in through the windows or down the wall. So there are some improvements that are being made, and they're working very hard to make sure that the employees and the residents of this county
feel safe
and
healthy,
yeah, healthy in this environment. I appreciate all of the work that you've done and continue to do. Thank you so much.
Good.
We're excited to see this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's no action on this item. It's just a report. So thank you very much, and we'll move on to the next item, which is the event calendar and current events. Supervisor Pancrazzi.
Yes.
Start us off.
We have time for that?
I don't think we have enough time for it, but we'll make time.
Okay. I judged the Yuma High School Science Fair the other day, and I was just so pleased with the experiments that those students came up with. It was exciting. We were in the Yuma High Library, and one whole section of that library was full of students who had become part of the science fair, and the top 3 in each section move on to the regionals. So it was a fun activity. I really enjoyed it. I attended the Rural Transportation Committee meeting via telephonics, and I also attended the effective management with state lawmakers for CSA telephonically. I went to a meeting for the building across the street, 197, and did take a tour of the facility, the unfinished portion of the facility, and it looks so much better. So they're doing a great job. I walked in the MLK Day celebration and attended the program. I want to say Mike Shelton did a very good speaking job at that function, as did the musical groups and the young lady who danced. She has a future in that area. I attended the Air Quality Division stakeholders meeting yesterday, and whew,
And thank you very much.
we came out pretty well. Thank you, Paul, because you worked very hard to make sure that we have a small area of non-attainment instead of the whole huge county. So appreciate that. And today I'm driving to Phoenix to attend the CSA legislative reception, and then the next day the CSA meeting. So that's
Okay.
where I'm at.
Thank you. Can you top that, Supervisor?
I too attended the ADQ Air Quality Bank meeting, and Supervisor Pancrazzi and I and Mr. Melcher left there very, very pleased with the results. It does not look like we were going to have a negative impact that we had feared because of the ozone non-attainment. And ADQ also is working very hard on the logical issue of much of the ozone is coming from Mexico, which we can do nothing about. And they have done a great job of setting up monitors there and are making that case. It's interesting. They have to wait 3 years to make the case, but it is what it is. But the economic development impacts that we had feared are not really going to be in place. I attended the CSA Legislative Policy Committee meeting on Friday. We're probably not going to get any additional relief this year again. But they're, obviously they're going to work on it. They're not just throwing their hands up and giving up, but it doesn't look great. And they're also once again trying to reduce some of the authority that the counties have. So we're beyond the defense again. They do have vehicles for most of the CSA priority legislation, so expected to move quickly. Attended the GYEDC board meeting. Also attended the City of Yuma inauguration, and it was quite elaborate. The presentation. So a little bit different from how we handled it. That's it's fine. It was well attended, and it was it was fun to be there. Also,
actually, the comment from the mayor of San Luis, Rio Colorado, was this is very very fast, very they do a bigger thing. It's like like a whole day and a half of celebration.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So the guy was, this it? Is this it? Well, yeah, this is it. We were thinking this is a lot.
Yeah. Yuma Crisis Group, that is the group where the mental health providers come together, as well as the medical folks and law enforcement. And I had taken a phone call and something else happened. And then I finally, about 20 minutes late, I logged on to the meeting, called into the meeting in time to hear George basically wrapping it up. And that is a very, very good thing. They've made a lot of progress. I was in the initial meetings, and we're talking very contentious, long and drawn out, and they've made a lot of headway. So I was very pleased about that. And then, of course, I also will be traveling to Phoenix today for the CSA legislative reception tonight. I think most all of our delegation is planning to stop by, so it'll be good to interact with them and others. And then, of course, the CSA board meeting tomorrow.
All right.
That's all I got.
Okay, Mr. Simmons, can you
Attended
top that?
Well, no, I don't think so. Attended the Walton Mohawk Irrigation District board meeting. Also held a community meeting in the foothills. not a lot of people there. It's the day the weather was bad, so I think a lot of people were staying in. Also held a community meeting out in Tacna to update them on the improvement district and kind of where we're at on the water situation out there. Toured the construction project on North Frontage and met with the people over at Desert Grace Church. They're having some issues with access and such, so seeing what we can do there. Rescheduling my next community meeting next month, trying to get a bigger facility because right now ADEQ says they will come down, and I'm trying to get someone from the Corporation Commission as well to discuss the issue as far as the far west water and the smell that's going on out in the foothills area. And that's all I've got.
Supervisor Fortune.
I attended the GYEDC meeting and also participated in the MLK celebration. I was at the Yuma City Council inauguration as mayor. And I had a gentleman that night that told me about the work. He's very pleased and happy about the work that the county's doing out at the transfer station or that, so
That's
very,
correct. Yes.
it's good to hear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly
Yeah,
better than the complaint part. I start off by also stating that I attended the MLK march, and I really appreciate the fact that it's shorter every time, because as I get older, it seems like it takes longer, but it's actually shorter.
You're not the only one getting older.
Yeah, more like I think it's more the impression I get as I get older, but I appreciate the fact that it was a little shorter this time, and it was a nice event overall. I think they did a great job, and just so happened to remember that young lady that did the dance, she was also born, and it was her birthday that day, so it was very
that's right.
very significant.
Mm-hmm.
We had a meeting of the Vision Group, which is a group that basically works out in San Luis to deal with issues in San Luis, and the issue of the commercial crossing and its underuse continues to be a pressing issue down there, and it continues to be of concern to them that instead of the regulatory situation of their improving, it's actually going the opposite way. Now, it seems like the federal Department of Transportation it's planning to install another inspection facility there. So now you will have the state ADOT, and now you have the federal DOT, Department of Transportation. It seems like when it rains, it pours on those people out there, but they're still, and it's one of those issues that because I'm ahead of this report, I'm going to talk a little bit about the agenda that we've got to start putting together for the trip to DC, the legislative agenda. And the earliest part of that is to actually contact those different entities and ask them if there's a message or if there's anything that we can help with as we go down there, specifically the city. I mean, the cities go with their own agenda, but it's nice that we go earlier. So it's nice that we may be able to set up the table for them, so when they show up, I mean, they will follow. We would,
More than once.
we'll coordinate it, exactly. So that's also what's happening. We've also met. There's a small committee that's meeting to make a decision on the executive director for the Greater Yuma Port Authority. That's also an issue that I think we got to highlight this year. I think that authority needs to start acting like an authority and start, being a lot more professional. And I think that having an executive director, full-time executive director, will go a long ways in creating an identity for that organization and making it, take its place. I mean, whenever you hear of all the authorities along the Mexican border, it seems like the one that's less active on anything is the one from Yuma. I mean, I don't see anyone there at the, Arizona Mexico Mission meetings or anything where authorities are supposed to be represented. So that's, we're moving, I think, along the line of there. There's a couple of extra meetings that are taking place, I think, in February. I just remind the board that we have a special meeting in the middle of February, somewhere the 13th, I think, just before Valentine's Day. It's a retreat. So, just make sure that you have that in your calendar. That means that during the month of February, we'll have 3 meetings. Now, the ones in March are a different story, because I think we have a special meeting in between, and then there's a meeting where we're not, 2 of us are not going to be here. And the conversation was whether we could actually fuse it into one meeting, but I'm not sure where that went. Are we still having the meeting on the 5th, and then the meeting on the, I think the 12th, and then the meeting on the 19th, or are we trying to do something? I really hate to leave the reins of the county in the hands of the vice chair. So, but I will if I have to, because I'm not gonna be around. So what, I guess update us on the status of that sometime.
So the March 5th and 19th are the normal meetings that take place. And then the 12th is the tax deeded property. There are
That's what it
numerous,
was.
very, very many properties that need to be
Right.
auctioned off.
Yes.
So
I
that's gonna
remember
take a
now.
long time in and of itself. So we didn't think that it could be tied into.
No, we don't want to leave that important facet to, the vice chair, he may struggle with that a little bit. He hasn't done it before, so, Anyway, so now I realize, the need for those three. That's fine, just, leave them at that.
When are you going to DC, the 5th?
We're gonna go to DC that weekend. I mean, that begins, it actually, the
Third, I think, second or third.
Yeah, it begins on, I think, Friday for those people who belong to subcommittees and specific, and then it goes to Saturday. I'm leaving Saturday because my first meeting is on Sunday, and I, kind of made arrangements to do it that way. And then I'm coming back Wednesday, or, Wednesday, I think, instead of Thursday. I'm getting notices. The last one was an embarrassment because I think, Desiree sent me a notice, would you like to meet with a representative? And, I think she said March the 5th, and I said, representative of what? So it was just a senior moment. I immediately realized she was talking about a U.S. congressman meeting. But, they're setting them up on Tuesday, which is fine. And, we still can do some on Wednesday. So we're getting ready for that trip. And I think that what we need to work now mostly on is the agenda. Is who we're going to see and what we're going to be pursuing and what issues of importance at the federal level that we can get assistance from them on. All right, so that takes care of it for me. Susan, the next one is
So
Town Administrator.
tied into what you just discussed, March 2nd through the 8th are the dates that we're going to be attending the NACO congressional legislative session conference, as well as the Hill visits to our federal representatives. And so on the 6th, Tuesday the 6th and Wednesday the 7th, we'll actually be meeting with our representative on Capitol Hill. Next meeting in February, the first meeting in February, we'll bring forward the talking points for the items that we think are the priorities for you and have you discuss those and finalize those. And then I also sent a separate message about NACO wanting to get policy resolutions. And so if there are some that NACO doesn't already have on their radar that we think the board thinks are of interest, like the H2A or our SCAP funding, those are things that we can present on behalf of the Board of Supervisors through Russell McLeod attending that conference for the talking point for resolutions by NACO to see if they are interested in taking it on as a national organization, as opposed to Yuma County doing it on its own. As far as my activities yesterday and today, this evening, I'll be participating in the city manager interviews for Somerton. So they have 5 candidates that we're interviewing. And then this Friday, I'm going to be attending the Chamber Annual Awards Dinner. I don't know if any of the board members want to attend, but that starts at 6 p.m. and it's at the AWC Center for awards and recognition of chamber board members and that kind of thing. Since we are now a member, I wanted to represent the Yuma County in that regard.
That's it? And for the good of the order, is there anything anyone wants to say? Not you, though. The newspaper reported on it. We want you, just in case you go to the national news, you got to get used to, say, no, you can't say anything.
I think the February 5th meeting should have an agenda item for election of chairman.
I'll second. If I have a blank look in my eyes, it's because I wasn't thinking about it. Anyway, based on the considerable powers that I have, I now, declare this meeting over. I'm not taking a vote on it. Just in case you guys